Hello everybody, Assassinator back with another Xbox video, updating you on all the Xbox news that's happened since the last one. Now there hasn't been anything big, so these are going to be some small stories, but I felt, nonetheless, let's go ahead and talk about them. So the first one's going to be an ABK update. There has been nothing worth talking about this week, so we'll have to wait and see if something pops up next week on this. Well, in my last Xbox news video, I talked about the server improvements for the Xbox 360's versions of Call of Duty. Well, now information is coming out that the Xbox 360 versions of the Gears of War games have also received matchmaking improvements. Even Gears of War 1 is back online for anyone who wants to see what wall bouncing skills looked like back in the day. Me personally, I love the Gears of War campaign, but when it came to Gears of War 1 and its multiplayer, it was different, it was unique back in the day, but it was still so challenging just because so many people had that wall bouncing skill. And what's cool is all these games can be played through backwards compatibility on your Xbox Series console with the added benefit of FPS boost. Now I'm wondering what other games will get this treatment. I mean, I think this might be part of something bigger since Xbox hasn't said anything about Call of Duty or Gears receiving this treatment. And they might be waiting to add more before they actually talk about it. But either way, it's great news for the Gears community, and it shows that Xbox is doing backwards compatibility the best. This is a big positive for game preservation, and while I'm talking about game preservation, let's talk about another story. It came out that Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, played a huge role in bringing AntStream Arcade to Xbox. That is a streaming service that brings over 1,300 classic games to your Xbox. Now the service has been on PC for a while, and the company behind it wanted to bring it to consoles. They met with Phil, who was all in on bringing it to Xbox, so now we have it. Now it is a streaming service, so service means it's something that you gotta pay for over and over again. So how they're doing their subscription models is 1 year is $29.99, but if you want a lifetime, it's a one-time payment of $79.99. You can go to their website and see what games they have in it to see if this is actually something you want to purchase, because if you're someone who plays a lot of classic games, paying that $80 for a lifetime will be something that you might want to actually do. And on top of that, they plan to release new games every month into the service. So we do have Phil for game preservation, and based off of Jim Ryan's comments years ago when he was asked if they wanted to release classic PlayStation games, Jim stated, in quote, "Why would anyone want to play this?" end quote, referencing to old games. Now shortly after that, Sony did end up releasing a low-effort PS Mini that seemed to have failed, and I want to say a lot of the reason why it failed was because it was a low effort. They didn't really do very much to make the, I guess, overall experience good, unlike the NES Mini and the SNES Mini. That just shows PlayStation's not about that. The only reason why I feel they even did backwards compatibility on PS5 was to compete with what Xbox was doing, because they saw a lot of people like that Xbox was backwards compatible. So they kind of had to jump on that bandwagon, because if not, Xbox Series would have launched having thousands of games to play, where PlayStation 5 would have launched with having a few dozen maybe. Now in other news, this week Xbox Bethesda dropped 3 episodes of their animated anthology for Starfield. Now if you're excited for Starfield, then check them out. They're only a couple minutes long, and if you don't like them, obviously they didn't waste too much of your time. But to me, they were kind of entertaining. I feel this is probably the start of the marketing push for Starfield that releases in just over a month. I mean, right now, I'm only playing games that I can complete before Starfield releases. I can't have anything interrupting my space adventure. So any of these other huge releases coming out anytime before then, you're gonna have to wait till I'm done with Starfield. Now earlier this week, we got a look at Microsoft's earnings for quarter 4 of fiscal year 2023. Game revenue is up about 1%, which is about $36 million. Xbox content and services grew by 5%, which is driven by third-party content and Xbox Game Pass. Even Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella shared that Game Pass has increased by 22% year on year. Now I expect a much larger growth next quarter when Xbox Live Gold moves to Game Pass Core, because you're going to get millions technically moving over to Game Pass. On top of that, this next quarter will have some first-party games launching like Starfield and Forza Motorsports, which will bring in more subscribers and more hardware buyers. Now about the Xbox hardware, it is down 13% this quarter. Not too bad considering we hadn't gotten any good Xbox first-party releases since the beginning of the year. And while we're talking about how Xbox is doing, I wanted to point out some info that had come out about how the Xbox console is doing in Japan. Now, Xbox doesn't sell well in Japan compared to the US or even Europe. I mean, Japan is primarily Nintendo and PlayStation, but Xbox is doing decent in that region when comparing it to the past consoles. So the Xbox Series doubled the sales of the Xbox One in Japan back in July of 2022. Now the next milestone has been passed. The OG Xbox lifetime sales in Japan were about 472,992 units. It has come out that the Xbox Series has already surpassed that quantity in the first half of its life with 473,570. That's not too bad, but there's still work to be done because the Xbox 360 sold in Japan 1.66 million during its lifetime, making it the best-selling Xbox in Japan so far. Now, it does seem like this generation home consoles aren't selling well in Japan compared to previous gens. This also includes the PS5. The Nintendo Switch, because it's a hybrid, is a little bit different, but the PS5 isn't selling as well in Japan as it has in previous generations. But I still feel that the Series X will surpass the 360's lifetime sales in the end. Now, I think this is the first time that I've talked about it in any video, but I'm going to be talking about Xbox's UI, because this week some of you might have received an update that gave you a brand new dashboard. And from what I see from social media, a lot of people are excited to actually get some more space on their home screen. And I'd have to agree, I actually like it. I have had it for, I want to say, a month and a half or so I have been actually seeing that, so it's nothing new to me. I did actually end up putting my logo as a background. That was pretty cool to customize it that way. Even my son who saw it, he now wants me to go ahead and make him an image so that he can go and have that as his background, his home screen. Now, it's good, but Xbox, I feel, can make it better if they were to remove the bottom set of tiles. Remove that one, and I think right there will be perfect. Now, with this update, it's a little bit more than just freeing up some space. Obviously, they move some things around. There's a lot more to it. I'm not going to go ahead and get into all that. If anything, if you want, let me know in the comments below. I'll go ahead and do a breakdown of all the new things that are added in there. But one of the things is, if you have a default background, then anytime you, I guess your tile select is above a game, it'll go ahead and do like a background for that game. So it's pretty cool. It changes it up. You know, you kind of see a little bit about that game, and it might get you more interested in actually playing that game. So it's just a little bit added touch. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and keep my static custom background. Last week I did a video about Xbox Live Gold becoming Game Pass Core. I did state that August's games with Gold would be the final games coming to that service because obviously Xbox Live is going away. Well, now I know which games those are. Now, these games you can both claim from August 1st through August 31st. After that, they're going to be gone. In the past, Xbox would release one game on August 1st, the other one on August 15th, and kind of have them rolling through. Well, not this time. Obviously, they need to get these to you and done with. So the first game is going to be Blue Fire. Overall, the game doesn't look too bad. To me, it kind of looks like a Nintendo 64 type looking game, but obviously with better refined mechanics. And then we have Inertia Drift. Now, when this game was first announced, I actually liked how it looked. I actually was considering getting it, but something happened that it kind of flew off my radar, so I never even thought about it again. And obviously, now that it's coming back, I'm probably going to check this game out. Actually, I'm going to check out both games because they both seem interesting, and I got a bit of free time to actually check out some smaller scope games. Of course, before Starfield comes out. Now on to the last piece of news, which is an update to a great game. So that's the reason why I'm bringing it up, because this is something that interests me. Now, what I'm talking about is an update for Grounded. Obsidian Entertainment, the studio behind this hit game, stated that they're working on a much bigger update that they hope to have released by the end of the year, and for us to look for more about the update this fall. Now, Grounded is an amazing game that I put, I want to say, 60 plus hours into. I mean, it could have even been more than that. And the only reason why I gave up playing the game was because I was investing way too much time into it, and it made it where I wasn't able to play any of the newer released games. But to me, the game is quality. This was my very first survival type game that I played. It was very simple to pick up and play, but also had a lot of depth that kept you wanting to come back and do a little bit more. And to me, it was an added bonus that it was an ever-evolving world that only cost the price of admission. No content was hidden behind paywalls, no purchasable cosmetics or bonuses. Everything is earnable in-game. Now, that type of game nowadays is very rare. and even years after the game was released, it's still getting more content added for free. Now I look forward to seeing what they include with this update. It might even bring me back, just hopefully this time I don't get addicted to it. So that's going to be it for this video. I know there wasn't a whole lot that went on this week, but it's kind of good that we didn't get any bad, even though we didn't get any great news either. But I feel we can look forward to some great news over the next couple months. Hope everyone has a great weekend, but until next time, Assassinator out.